For our first story, we have my mother-in-law, 65 female, asking for my 34 female wedding ring back twice. You haven't had kids. My husband, 40 male, and I, 34 female, have been married for 9 years. His family has been absolutely horrible for about 7 of those. Everyone is local to our area. Reader's Digest. Mother-in-law, 65 female, used to be a real estate agent, RE firm manager. She helped my Bill in his affair, while his wife was pregnant with twins, secretly purchase a home, while lying to his wife. Bill then two-timed wife and mistress for 3 years. My mother-in-law enabled and lied in wild ways to help him keep it secret, truly. 6 years ago, mother-in-law was discovered to have committed wire fraud, escrow fraud, and possible embezzlement of $300,000 plus from a real estate firm. IRS investigated and could not find evidence enough to charge her criminally for embezzlement, but mother-in-law did lose her relicense permanently. Her mom paid off the other crimes, settled outside of court. Mother-in-law has since been on the verge of a third bankruptcy while trying to sell life insurance to pay her bills. My father-in-law, 70 male, is in terrible health. Mother-in-law has told me, "You caused Bill to cheat. When you and husband got married, Bill lost his entire support and best friend." We sat down and had a conversation with mother-in-law and father-in-law about this and other issues. It was received but not really improved after. Husband and I did marriage counseling 4 years ago to figure out how to save ourselves from this insanity. Decided to see them 2x a year, basically Easter and Christmas, Thanksgiving at most. He's in therapy weekly now and recognizes the toxicity. 3 years ago on Christmas, we had mother-in-law, father-in-law over for Christmas. Mother-in-law waited for my husband to leave the room, and asked for my heirloom wedding ring back. Husband overheard, came back in, and mother-in-law stated it was because she wanted it to stay in the family with a grandchild, and we hadn't had kids. We said absolutely not, that was my ring. This year on Christmas, she asked for it again. Once again, claiming she wants to give it to our niece, 3-yo, product of the Bill affair, as we haven't had kids. My husband got angry and shut it down. We should have just walked out. Mother-in-law stated she wants it to stay in the family. My husband said, "We are family." I'm so over it. A pregnancy would be very high risk for me, so this repeated issue is triggering, hurtful, frustrating. We've thought about fostering, adopting. My in-laws would not see that child as a true grandchild, their issue. When is enough enough? I'm tired of going to even one event per year and feeling emotionally abused at the end of it. I'm ready to go no contact. I don't want to put my husband in a situation where he has to choose because I did. Our marriage is wonderful, but his family is just too much. We have amazing friends and chosen family. That's the end of our first post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, "Go and see. Easy. If he wants to continue going to one event a year, so be it. But enough is enough for you. Cut them off and enjoy the peace." Our second commenter says, "Greater than mother-in-law has told me, you caused Bill to cheat, when you and husband got married. What kind of mystical wedding was this where you gained control of your Bill's penis? I'm sorry your husband's family is trashy. I agree with the people who say go and see with her." Our third commenter says, "I rarely see my in-laws, and I don't stop my husband from seeing them. I don't make him choose. I simply have said that I'm not going, but have a great time. Holidays are no issue because I see my husband every day. If he isn't here on the obligatory date, then so be it. He recognizes the toxicity and stays just present enough. You can do the same." For our second story, we have, my friends, 25 female, are warning me to leave my boyfriend, 27 male, together 1 year, but won't tell me why. Am I missing something? Part 2. First, I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. Your insights and support gave me the clarity and courage to address the situation. After reading the overwhelming responses about the red flags I had missed, I decided to have a serious conversation with my boyfriend, 27 male. Here's how it went. We were at his apartment. When I brought it up, I told him I wanted to talk about some things that had been bothering me, and I mentioned how I'd been feeling uneasy about certain behaviors like his constant texting when I'm out with friends, the comments about my clothes, and him going through my phone. At first, he tried to downplay it, saying things like, "I just care about you. Or, I'm only trying to protect you. When I told him that his actions didn't feel protective but controlling, he got defensive. He said, if you didn't have anything to hide, you wouldn't feel that way. That hit me hard because it was the same justification he used when he snooped through my phone. I explained that trust shouldn't require constant surveillance, but he just rolled his eyes and said I was being dramatic. I also brought up the comment his nephew made about my scarf and how he dismissed it. I told him it hurt when he didn't take my feelings seriously. He responded by saying, "You're too sensitive. He's just a kid, let it go." That was when I realized he consistently invalidates my feelings, whether it's about his behavior or anyone else's. The conversation took a darker turn when I mentioned how isolated I'd been feeling from my friends. I told him they'd been concerned about me and that their comments made me reflect on our relationship. His immediate reaction was anger. He said, "Of course your friends don't like me, they've been trying to turn you against me since day one." He even accused them of being jealous of our relationship. When I brought up how he threw away my clothes without asking, he doubled down, saying, "I was just helping you look better, you didn't need those anyway." He couldn't see why it was wrong to take control of something so personal without my consent. By the end of the conversation, it became painfully clear that he wasn't willing to take accountability for any of his actions. Instead, he shifted the blame onto me or my friends. The more I pushed for answers, the more his mask slipped, and I could see how manipulative he'd been all along. After everything, I told him I needed space to think. He got upset and said, "If you leave now, don't expect me to wait around for you." That felt like emotional blackmail, and it confirmed what so many of you pointed out: he's abusive and controlling. I'm now staying with a friend and figuring out how to end things safely. It's hard because part of me still remembers the good moments we had, but I know now that I deserve better. Thank you all for helping me see the truth. That's the end of our second post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, "This dude is abusive, and leaving an abusive relationship is one of the most dangerous times. Please be extra cautious when you end it." Our second commenter says, "End it in a text message, not in person." Our third commenter says, "If you need to go back and get any stuff, bring about 3 or 4 friends, ideally some strong-looking people with you. When you find yourself remembering the good times, you now are able to see clearly that that was just a fake trap to set you up so that you would be manipulated and controlled. None of those so-called good times were real. Very, very happy for you that you've escaped from this awful person. Be happy about this." For our last story, we have Mike, 34 male, BF is upset with me, 32 female, because I didn't make his plate and serve it to him during Christmas. Where do I go from here? Our 5-year anniversary is a couple weeks from now, and we have a 2-year-old. I didn't know anything was wrong until we started the 5 hours drive home after spending the holidays with my family. He was quiet pretty much the whole way and snapped at me when I asked why he was following too close behind a vehicle, and also driving fast. As soon as we get home, he leaves without a word for a couple hours, gets back and says he went to the mall to buy a couple more gifts and some shoes for himself. I'm annoyed because I have been telling him for weeks to pick out shoes, and I will buy them for his upcoming birthday. He's really hard to shop for and picky about his clothes. So I asked him why he bought himself shoes when I wanted to buy him some as a gift. He says in rude tone, "Send me 100 then, because that's how much they were." I finally asked him what his problem was, and he was upset that I didn't make him a plate. I spent over 4 hours cooking for my whole family, also cooked for Xmas Eve the day before. I was tired. The holidays are exhausting. I couldn't believe he was upset about that. He seemed annoyed on Boxing Day because we ordered pizza and I made a plate for my stepfather who uses a cane. I told him to make himself a plate and he just sat there. He also said I barely looked at him during our visit, and if I did, I didn't smile or look at him lovingly. Like I said, I was tired. My 2-year-old was also extra clingy, so I felt overstimulated and just tried to be present with my family. Lastly, he was mad because I didn't go sledding with him and my family. I stayed back with my sister and baby niece and we watched a rom-com. I wanted to relax and have some me time, and he was upset about that, saying I just wanted to go on my phone, which I did. I got to watch TikToks and just scroll for a bit. Anyway, after we got home and had this conversation, I left upset and went to have dinner by myself while he took our child for a walk. As soon as I got home, he left again and didn't come back for 4 hours. We have barely spoken and I don't want to be the one to sit down and start this conversation, to coddle him and make him feel better. I'm so sick of this, where do I go from here? That's the end of our last post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, "Why are you allowing this toxic relationship to continue? He's a grown adult, he can get his own plate." Our second commenter says, "Sounds like you are a servant to him, not a partner. Considering his age, this most likely comes from deeply rooted misogyny and won't change. Watch out for isolation attempts. The way he didn't like you taking some me time with your family, but wanted you to be with him and his family instead, doesn't bode well. Do not prioritize his family over yours, is my advice. You don't want to end up isolated from your closest people with a controlling, sexist man, and it seems like you may end up exactly there." Our third commenter says, "Your BF is a child. Unless he's missing his arms, he can surely get his own plate. He's petulant and has some really weird ideas about gender roles. Does he track how often you smile at him and look at him lovingly and how much time you do it each time? Holy shit." That's all for today. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.